December 1968. The temperature hit 42 degrees. The tar on the roads melted. The metal slide at the park could burn the skin off your legs. And there was no air conditioning, none. You either found a way to survive the heat, or you suffered. This is how Australians stayed cool during summer in the 60s and 70s, before modern comfort, before climate control, when beating the heat required ingenuity, endurance, and a complete disregard for dignity. 1. Pedestal fans that sounded like helicopters. Every house had one. That big metal pedestal fan standing in the corner like an industrial strength weapon. You'd switch it on, and the whole house would know about it. The noise was deafening, a mechanical roar that drowned out conversation. It didn't cool the air, it just moved hot air around. But somehow, having that air moving across your sweaty skin made it almost bearable. You'd position yourself directly in front of it, close your eyes, let it blast you in the face, talk into it, and your voice would vibrate, sound robotic and ridiculous. Every kid did it, making their voice shake like they were in a wind tunnel. At night, you'd aim it at your bed, lie there, sheet off, just you and that hurricane-force wind keeping you from melting. The fan would oscillate back and forth. You'd time your breathing to when it hit you. 10 seconds of relief, 10 seconds of hell, repeat. The metal cage around the blades would get dusty. Nobody cleaned it properly. The dust would just circulate through the room with the hot air. If the fan broke down, it was a crisis. Dad would try to fix it himself, cursing and sweating while pulling it apart on the kitchen table. Modern air conditioning is silent, efficient, perfect. But there was something honest about those old fans. They didn't pretend to cool things down. They just tried their best. 2. Sleeping on the veranda. When your bedroom became an oven, you moved outside. The veranda was the Australian summer bedroom. Every house with a veranda used it. Mum would drag the mattresses out in the late afternoon, set them up in a row, 3 kids to a mattress sometimes. You'd lie there in your underwear, no sheets, just you and the night air. Above you, the ceiling. Around you, the sounds of the neighbourhood. Dogs barking, someone's radio playing. The buzz of mosquitoes hunting for blood. If you were lucky, there'd be a breeze. That beautiful evening breeze that made the whole day's suffering worthwhile. You'd fall asleep watching the ceiling fan spin slowly overhead, listening to Dad snoring 3 feet away. Sometimes you'd wake up at dawn, covered in dew. Cold, finally. Actually cold. Then the sun would come up and you'd have to do it all over again. People sleep in air-conditioned bedrooms now, windows closed, temperature controlled, but sleeping on the veranda, that was Australian summer. Real, uncomfortable, unforgettable. 3. The backyard hose. The garden hose wasn't just for the garden. It was survival. Equipment. Hot afternoon, someone would turn on the hose and that was it. Instant relief. You'd stand there fully clothed, just letting the water hit you. Didn't matter. You'd dry off in 10 minutes anyway. Kids would take turns. One person manning the hose like artillery. Everyone else running around screaming, getting absolutely soaked. The water would be warm at first, sitting in the hose under the sun. Then it would run cold, and it was heaven. You'd drink straight from it. Put your thumb over the end to make it spray. Aim it at your brother's face when Mum wasn't looking. The grass would turn into mud. You'd slip over, get covered in dirt. Mum would yell that you were making a mess. But she'd leave the hose running, because she knew. This was how you survived. At night, Dad would stand in the backyard in his singlet, hosing himself down before bed. No shame, no dignity. Just a man in his hose, fighting the Australian summer the only way he knew how. 4. Wet towels over the windows. This was Mum's scientific method for climate control. Wet a towel, bath towel, beach towel, whatever you had. Soak it completely. Hang it over the window where the breeze was coming through. The air would pass through the wet fabric and somehow, miraculously, it would feel cooler on the other side. Evaporative cooling, they call it now. Back then it was just Mum's wet towel trick. You'd have towels hanging over every window, dripping onto the floorboards, creating puddles. Every couple of hours they'd dry out. Someone would have to take them down, re-soak them, hang them back up. It worked though. Not amazingly, but enough. The house would be maybe 2-3 degrees cooler. At night, some people would hang wet sheets over their beds, sleep under them, let the evaporation cool them down. You'd wake up and the sheet would be bone dry, all that moisture pulled out by the heat. Modern homes have double glazed windows, insulation, air conditioning. But those wet towels, hanging in the windows, that was Australian ingenuity, pure and simple. 5. The local swimming pool was your second home. Summer meant the pool. every single day if you could manage it. Your local council pool, always packed, always chaotic, always the best place to be. You'd get there right when it opened, 10 o'clock, already 30 degrees outside, pay your 30 cents, get your hands stamped, run through the chlorine foot bath. The water was freezing at first. Shocking. You'd ease in slowly, or your mates would push you. Then you'd stay there for hours, literally hours, swimming, diving, playing, turning into a prune. The pool water would warm up as the day went on and more bodies got in. By mid-afternoon, it was like swimming in bath water. But you didn't care. You were in water. That's all that mattered. The concrete around the pool would be scorching hot. You'd have to run across it, feet burning, diving back into the water to cool them down. Lunch was a meat pie from the canteen. Maybe an ice block if you had money left over. Then back in the water until closing time, 5 o'clock. The lifeguard would blow the whistle, everyone out. You'd walk home, skin tight from the chlorine, exhausted, sunburnt, happy. Your hair would be green by the end of summer from all that chlorine. Your eyes would be red and stinging every single night. That pool was your refuge, your escape, your salvation from the heat. 6. Cold baths in the middle of the day. You got so hot you couldn't function? You ran a cold bath, middle of the day, fully clothed sometimes. You'd just get in. The water would be cold from the tap. Actually cold, not cooled down, just tap temperature. You'd sink in, feel your body temperature drop, feel your brain start working again, lie there for 10 minutes, 15, however long it took. Sometimes multiple kids would share the same bath water, jump in one after another. No privacy, no shame, just desperate humans seeking relief. Other times you'd run the as key. Bath, get in, drain it, run another one. 2, 3 cold baths in an afternoon. Your skin would be wrinkled, your fingers like prunes. But you'd be cool, finally cool. Mum would complain about the water bill. We can't afford this. But she'd let you do it anyway, because the alternative was having hot, miserable, angry kids destroying the house. Now people have pools, air conditioning, climate control, but that cold bath in the middle of a scorching day, that was luxury. That was relief. 7. The drive-in movies for the breeze. Saturday night, too hot to stay home. The drive-in was the answer. Not for the movie, though that was nice. For the evening breeze. You'd load up the car, kids in pyjamas already, pillows, blankets for later when it finally cooled down. Drive to the drive-in. Pay your $3 for the whole family. Find your spot. The speaker would hang from the window, tinny sound, barely adequate. Nobody cared. You'd open all the car doors, sit on the hood, spread out, blankets on the ground. The movie would start as the sun went down, and finally, the temperature would drop. That evening, breeze would start, cool air moving across the paddock, pushing away the day's heat. Kids would fall asleep on the blankets before the movie ended. Parents would actually watch the film, enjoying the first comfortable moment of the day. Mosquitoes would come out. You'd get bitten. Slap at your arms and legs. Still worth it for the cool air. By the time the movie finished, it might be almost cold. You'd need those blankets. Dad would carry the sleeping kids back to the car, drive home slowly, everyone peaceful. The drive-in was entertainment, sure, but mostly it was an escape. A way to wait out the worst of the heat in relative comfort. 8. Sitting in front of the open fridge. You'd get caught doing this, every time, but you'd do it anyway. Open the fridge door, stand there, let that cold air wash over you. The fridge would be old, noisy, struggling to keep. Things cold even with the door closed, but that burst of cold air, worth it. You'd stick your face in, your arms in, press yourself against the door opening. Mum would catch you. Shut that door, you're wasting electricity, you're making it work harder. She was right. The fridge would have to work overtime to cool down again, but for 30 seconds you felt alive, you felt human, you felt cold. Sometimes you'd grab ice cubes, hold them against your neck, your wrists, let them melt down your arms. Or you'd eat ice cream straight from the container, standing there with the door open. Double the crime. Modern fridges have alarms. They beep if you leave them open too long. Back then, the only alarm was Mum's voice from the other room. I can hear that fridge door. 9. The picture theatre's air conditioning. The pictures weren't just entertainment in summer, they were air-conditioned refuge. Every cinema in Australia had air conditioning, powerful, glorious Arctic air conditioning. You'd see anything. Didn't matter what was playing. You were there for the cool air. Walk in from the 40-degree heat, hit that wall of cold air. Instantly feel your body temperature drop. Find your seats. Sink in. Let the air conditioning do its work. The movie could be terrible, could be boring. Didn't matter. You were cool. You'd sit through the entire thing. Maybe even sit through it twice if you could get away with it. 3 hours of perfect temperature. 3 hours of relief. Some people would bring jumpers. Actually get cold inside the cinema. That's how powerful the air conditioning was. The ushers would walk up and down with their torches, checking tickets, making sure nobody was sneaking in for a second session. Walk back outside and the heat would hit you like a physical blow, back to reality. But those few hours in the cinema, worth every penny. Families would go regularly in summer, not because they loved movies, because they loved being cold. The cinema was your oasis, your sanctuary, your 3 hours of paradise in the middle of hell. 10. The beach, from dawn until dark. If you lived near the beach, summer was manageable. If you didn't, you envied everyone who did. Beach days started early, sunrise, before the heat really kicked in. You'd pack everything, towels, umbrellas, lunch, drinks, the entire family's worth of stuff. Set up camp on the sand, umbrella for mum, towels spread out, esky with cordial and sandwiches. Then into the water, stay there all day. The ocean was your air conditioning, better than any fan, any wet towel, any cold bath. You'd swim until your lips turned blue, your fingers wrinkled, your skin went pale. Come out, warm up on the sand, eat a sandwich, then straight back in. The water would be crowded, bodies everywhere. Everyone had the same idea. You'd body surf, dive through waves, float on your back, anything to stay in the water. By late afternoon, you'd be exhausted, sunburnt despite the zinc cream, completely spent. Pack up, drive home, fall asleep in the car, wake up with sand in your bed, salt in your hair, and the smell of the ocean still on your skin. If you had the beach, you survived summer. If you didn't, you just suffered. 10 ways Australians stayed cool in the 60s and 70s. No air conditioning, no climate control, just ingenuity, determination, and the occasional act of desperation. We've gained comfort since then. Temperature-controlled homes, instant relief at the touch of a button. But we've lost something too, that shared suffering. That collective understanding that summer was meant to be endured, not avoided. Those hot nights on the veranda, those hours at the pool, those wet towels hanging in every window, that was Australian summer, raw, real, unforgettable. Which one of these do you remember? How did your family beat the heat?